So this past week, I've had the fresh new Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro strapped to my clammy northern flesh. Now this is a slightly redesigned version of the original Ticwatch Pro 5, and it's still an absolutely banging Wear OS smartwatch with stupendous battery life. It costs you 329 British pound if you fancy one, or 349 US dollars. So that's the same cost as the original Ticwatch Pro 5 and fairly affordable as far as Wear OS watches go. So here's my full Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro comes in a single colour option, this here Obsidian Effort. It's just black, basically, nice and simple. Gotta say, I think it looks pretty smart. It's reasonably chunky, but not terrible as far as smartwatches go. My less than stellar Northern jeans stock has cursed me with rather spindly arms. I've basically got the frail old wrists of a pensioner. But even on me, I don't think the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro looks ridiculous. Feel free to offer alternative opinions in the comments below. And as usual, it's pretty hardy stuff. That casing is constructed from 7000 series aluminium, all black, so it blends in nicely. And what's more, that Corning Gorilla Glass display of the regular Pro has been upgraded here to sapphire glass. And it's further protected by that ever so slightly raised bezel which just juts up above the surface of that panel. So it's a proper tough bugger, hence Enduro. Frankly, if I kept on smacking this watch against the desk for several hours, I think the desk would come off worse. And as usual, can survive extreme temperatures and vibrations as well as blunt force trauma, tested to military standard 810H. And water resistant, can withstand up to 5 atmospheres of pressure, and yet despite being pretty rugged and hardy, it's quite comfortable to wear as well. Only weighs about 44 grams. And no issues with that silicone strap either. It's been gentle against my fair and sensitive skin. And it's a standard 24mm strap, so you could whip it off and replace it with a different effort. Bit of a leathery band for a night out on the town perhaps. And while the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro is a Wear OS smartwatch, you don't actually need the Wear OS app to set it up. What you need is the Mobvoi Health app. And no real changes here. Pairing only took a few minutes, including the usual obligatory update, and then you can completely configure the watch, including changing up the watch faces. You set up your Google account, your calendars, all that good stuff. You can personalize the notifications, yada yada yada. Now, the big whoop with the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro, like all Ticwatches, is that it's got a dual display setup. What's usually displayed when the watch is hibernating is this low power screen. It's the equivalent of an always on display, so you can quickly check the time, the date, etc. if you need to. If you raise your wrist or you rotate the wee dial here, a little backlight will pop on so you can see it even at night, or if there's strong sunlight outdoors, because otherwise you'd really struggle. You get quite a lot of info packed on here, including your steps count and everything. If you keep on rotating the dial, you'll be able to check out your calorie count, your heart rate, all that good stuff. As you can see, I've done tons of exercise so far today. 10 whole steps from my bedroom to my office. And the idea is you only really need to wake up the watch and use that power sapping OLED display if you want to use your apps or check some notifications, something like that. And it helps the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro to last even longer. And when you do wake up the watch, you are into Wear OS proper, and it's your usual setup, so you can swipe up to see notifications. And as usual, the notification support is excellent here. The Ticwatch will buzz with a respectable level of vibratal goodness when anything important hits your smartphone, and then you can instantly respond with emojis using your voice. You can also delete stuff directly off your phone. If you swipe down instead, this opens up a menu of all of your various toggles and stuff. You can also use the rotating crown to open up this menu. All your essentials are in there, including alarms, do not disturbs. You can quickly tweak the screen brightness, although I've not had to do that once because the adaptive brightness has been so good. Good bit of torch mode action as well. You can swipe left and right for your various cards. And as always with Wear OS, these are fully customizable, so any that you don't actually need, you can just get rid of, just a quick tap like so. And you got plenty more to choose from, including all the usual health-related shenanigans and stuff for your various apps. If you tap the old rotating crown here, you'll bring up a full list of all of your apps that you can quickly skim through. You've got a fair few pre-installed on there, including all of the usual tick shenanigans. Some outdoorsy stuff like tick barometer and tick compass. You've got usual tick exercise tracking. You've also got WhatsApp on here for fast responding. YouTube music, which just sit there untouched. Timers, alarms, all the good stuff. And then of course full access to the Play Store if you want to download further apps. because it's got a great selection of stuff on here, lots of third-party support, so whatever you're into, chances are pretty good that it's supported. You got a whole 32 gigs of storage to play with here on the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro, and that can also be used to store songs and things on the watch if you want to belt out some tunes without having your smartphone on you during a workout or whatever. And the more keen-eyed among you will have spied there's a second side button here on the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro. Quick tap of this loads up your most recently used apps, very handy if you want to jump straight back into something. So as you can see there, we just went into the likes of the Play Store and the Torch. But if you want to, you can customize this to load up a specific app instead between all of these different options. And all the Google stuff works great here on the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro. So like Google Maps, for instance, you can get turn-by-turn directions right there on your wrists. You're not staring at your smartphone when you're in an unfamiliar city, looking like a very easily muggable tourist. And full Google Wallet support as well, so you can pay for stuff just by jabbing your wrist at it. You do have to have a pin set up for this to work, but that's easy enough. You know, just every time you take off your watch and put it back on, you just have to tap in a 4-digit code. You can also double tap that side button to quickly load up your Google Wallet. And the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro boasts loads of different watch faces. I actually really like this default one. You can fully customize most of these watch faces as usual, so you can change up the colors and the complications. If you don't know what those are, it's just the wee bits of information that pop up on the display. So for instance, you can check out your heart rate right there on the display. Otherwise, you might want a hand wash timer if you still do that. You can have fast access to Google Wallet, your Spotify app, all kinds of health stats. And as usual, plenty of variety in these watch faces. You've got analog efforts, digital efforts, quite complicated watch faces, absolutely crammed with information, as well as more basic, simple, straightforward affairs. There's also a subscription-based app called Timeshow, which Ticwatch points you at, which allows you to choose from a bunch of pre-designed smartwatch faces. Otherwise, I believe you can design your own as well. Or, of course, you can download further watch faces via the Google Play Store. There's absolutely bucket loads on there. And the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro boasts a built-in mic and speaker, which is great for taking calls on the fly if you don't have the time or the inclination to yank your smartphone out your pocket, for instance. Sadly, there's still no Google Assistant support here on the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro, just like the original Ticwatch Pro 5. Although there are workarounds you can do. There's some good video tutorials here on YouTube explaining how, basically involve installing the Google Assistant Go APK. And of course, you've got all of the usual health tracking shenanigans here on the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro. So how many steps you've trekked so far today, calories burned, stairs climbed. Well, I've had an absolute blinder so far today, haven't I? Heart rate, blood oxygen levels, etc. Steps count can be a wee bit ropey. As you saw before, I had 10 steps already. That seems to have gone back down to 0. Occasionally it takes a while to update the steps count as well. If you quickly want to check all of your health stats all in one go, there is the one-tap measurement feature. But the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro can also measure this stuff during the course of a day. It's good to see that doing this video isn't stressing me out too much. And then for you fitness fans, you've also got Take It Exercise, which includes a huge selection of popular ways to flap your arms about and burn calories. Pretty much anything you could possibly imagine is included in here, so it doesn't matter what you're into, chances are it's supported by the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro. Even if you like crawling around like a bear, apparently. Good bit of glute bridging, classic. And when you're doing your bit of exercise, the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro will serve up all of those hot stats, the duration, your heart rate, calories burned, etc. Oh, this is harder than it looks. And the Enduro once again packs in that dynamic HR backlight feature. So basically the background of the low powered display will turn different colors during your workout to show just how hard your heart is pumping. This goes all the way from blue, which is pretty chill, all the way up to red, where red is basically calm it down mate, your heart is about to f***ing explode. Certainly a good way of seeing if you're getting some good cardio with just a quick glance, not having to actually, again, fully wake up the smartwatch. Now you can once again check out all your various stats on this low-powered screen as well without waking up the watch. And that low-power screen now supports third-party apps like Strava and Nike Plus apparently. And you got the usual support for 5 global navigation systems including GPS, Baidu, GLONASS, Galileo, and the one that begins with a Q that I always bloody forget. And you got the usual sleep tracking shenanigans as well, which can tell you roughly how long it was before you finally drifted off into a blissful slumber. It can also clue you in as to how light or heavy your sleep was. Lots of stats including your heart rate while you were asleep, SpO2 levels, respiratory rates, even skin temperature. It's nothing revolutionary and it doesn't really offer much advice, but then these things tend to be a bit shonky anyway. Unlike the previous Ticwatch Pro 5, the Enduro is once again powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon W5 Plus Gen 1 smartwatch chipset, and I found this runs an absolute dream, just flipping through the menus and everything super swift. Apps load up instantly, no issues whatsoever. Only had one big problem with the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro, and that was when it just decided to completely crash on me yesterday evening, in fact. Kind of freaks me out a bit considering I was supposed to be doing the review today. Thankfully, plugging it into the charger and pressing down the old power button for around sort of 20 seconds or so seemed to sort it right out. Phew. But of course, the true highlight of any Mobvoi Ticwatch is the battery life. Once again, absolutely banging here on the Enduro. It's a 628 mAh capacity cell stuffed inside of that slightly chunky frame, same as the previous version. And the rather nifty combination of that big old battery and the dual display design means I've been getting a solid 4 to 5 days of use from a single charge out of the Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro. Generally closer to 4 if you've got, full on notification support on the go, lots of health track and all that good stuff. But yeah, that absolutely beats the pants off of most other Wear OS rivals, like the Pixel Watch 2 and those Samsung Galaxy efforts. As far as Wear OS goes, the only smartwatch I've tested out that comes even close to the Ticwatches is that OnePlus Watch 2 with its funky dual OS and dual chipset design. Generally get around 3 days of use between charges with that one. And then when that juice is drained, well, just chuck it back on the bundled magnetic dock, and just under half an hour on this thing will give you enough power for a full weekend of use. Because I'm not really a fan of these mini docks. It snaps on there magnetically, but it's all too easy for it to accidentally get knocked and just come flying off. I prefer a dock that actually properly sits across the entire back and holds it in place, clasps it if you will. But whatever, minor gripe. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a nutshell is my full, final, frank review of the Mobvoi Ticwatch Pro 5 Enduro. As I say, yours for just over £300 here in the UK. And it's a bit of a cracker, certainly if you want a Wear OS smartwatch, but you don't want to compromise on battery life. Well, as I say, around 4 to 5-ish days of use on a single charge, depending on how heavy you're going at it. Got all those great googly features and of course full access to the likes of the Play Store, so it's only the likes of the Google Assistant that are missing in action here. So that's what I reckon of the Enduro. What do you guys think? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do plug subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a bloody wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you!